History, Chapter 3. The impact of British rule in India. Britishers fulfilled their commercial need in the beginning as a trade company. After observing the political landscape of India, wherein thousands of rulers are competing with each other, they thought of exploiting this situation. They adopted divide and rule policy, and slowly and gradually they started controlling all the rulers of India. After gaining control over Indian rulers, they decided to strengthen their power over India permanently. So, they brought in many policies in India. Let us study them one by one. First, we are going to discuss about the administrative and judicial policies they brought into India. In that, first we are going to discuss about civil services. Lord Cornwallis started the administration of civil services. In 1800, he started Fort William College in Kolkata for the students who are inspired of civil services. This initiative didn't get much support from the directors of East India Company. Till 1853, the appointments were done by the directors of East India Company, and after 1853, the appointment for civil services started being done through competitive exam. All this development didn't help the Indians much because Britishers kept suspecting the efficiency of Indians. Lord Cornwallis argued that all the natives of Hindustan are corrupt. Thus, all the low-level jobs were given to the Indians. Next, we are going to talk about the judicial system. The new judicial system found its way in India when the British rulers started taking over the Mughal rulers. After the Battle of Buxar, Shah Alam II handed over the Diwani rights to Britishers to collect the land taxes. After this, dual administrative system started in Bengal. This system was called dual governance. According to the administrative plan devised by Warren Hastings, who took over as governor in 1772, two types of court need to be established in each district. First, Diwani Adalat as civil court, Fauzadari Adalat as criminal court. In these civil courts, Hindus were given justice according to the Hindu scriptures and Muslims were given justice according to the Shariat. These civil courts were under the control of European officers, although the criminal courts were under the control of Khwajis. Next, we are going to talk about the police system. Police is responsible for maintaining internal law and order in a country. Lord Cornwallis was the first to bring in a proper police system in a country. The severe drought of 1770 made our internal law and order system very weak. Hence, the entire police system went into the hands of Britishers. The system of adopting British magistrate started in 1781. The police system came under the control of magistrate. It went through many changes. Police Law Act was passed in 1861. The act was based on good law and administration, but still Indians were not allowed for the post of higher authority. Then finally, in 1902, Police Commission Law decided a specific education qualification for the post of police officers. Next, we are going to talk about the military system. Military system acts as a base of administration during British rule. Britishers hired Indians into the military and this way they captured the India. But again, Indians were not allowed for the higher post. It was all the Britishers on higher post. and Indians could just reach to the post of Subedar. So this was about the administration system. Now let's move on to the next main heading, that is land taxes policies. East India Company had to pay 4 lakh pounds to the British government for its control over Bengal provinces. So it had to maintain its financial stability. To maintain its financial stability, it implemented many tax systems in the country. Let's study them one by one. First, we are going to talk about the permanent zamindar system. In 1793, Lord Cornwallis implemented this system first time in India in Bengal and Bihar region. Under this system, the ownership of land remained in the hands of zamindars. Zamindars were supposed to pay fixed amount of tax to the East India Company every year on a fixed date. Zamindars were free to collect any amount of tax from the farmers, and whatever excess amount he used to keep it in his pocket. So this way, zamindars were benefiting more out of this system. But in case, due to any reason such as flood or drought, or any reason, if he failed to collect taxes from the farmer and pay it to the company, then the ownership of that land will be taken away from that zamindar. Next, we are going to talk about Mehalwari system. R.M. Bird and James Thomson implemented this system. Under this system, British government enter into an agreement at the level of mahals with regard to collection of land taxes. Big and small zamindars were part of this system. Since the company official had fixed high land taxes, then the expected produce out of the land, many zamindars had to lose the ownership of their land. Not only that, many small farmers who were dependent on zamindars also suffered because of this system. Next, we are going to talk about Ryotwari system. In this system, farmers were in direct contact with the company government. Farmers were supposed to pay 50% of their produce as land tax to the company. This land tax was of a tenure of 30 years, which can be reviewed after 10 years. Although small farmers were given the ownership of land, but still they had to suffer a lot due to high land taxes. So these were the various land tax system which Britishers has implemented in India. Now let us see what was the impact of these land system. A new class of zamindar who used to exploit the farmers were created. The farmers who were getting exploited by the zamindars started losing the ownership of lands. Land was treated like a matter of commodity which could be mortgaged for loan. Many zamindars had to mortgage their land in order to pay the land taxes. Agriculture sector became more commercialized. They started producing the raw material which was required by the industries in England. Moneylenders became strong and powerful. Next, we are going to talk about the education system. Few developments were made in education system during the rules of Muslim kings, and later on again few changes were made by the Britishers in education system during 18th centuries. New schools were started for the children of Britishers and Europeans living in India. It was Charles Grant who suggested for universalization of British education in India. The development of British education system in India gained more importance after the appointment of Lord William Bentinck as Governor General of India in 1828. Adoption of English in the education system happened in 1830. The another development happened in education system was through establishment of universities. Now let us talk about the impact of British education system in India. Indians were able to develop modernity, secularism and democratic attitude in them. Impetus was received for local literatures and languages. This facilitated in common thinking process. Periodicals started emerging. This scrutinizes the policies and working of government, which helped the Indians to form a critical opinion about various issues. New social, religious and reformation movements were emerged. The thoughts of thinkers like J.S. Mill, Rousseau and Montesquieu brought new ideas in the minds of youth. The freedom struggles taking place across the globe also influenced the minds of Indians. They were able to understand and appreciate the rich tradition of their culture. Moving on to the next topic, that is constitutional development. Britishers implemented various other laws which led to the final development of our Indian constitution. Let us study those acts one by one. First comes the Regulating Act of 1773. We will study the main features of this act. Before the implementation of this act, there were 3 presidencies under the control of Britishers, and they were Bengal, Bombay and Madras. After the implementation of this act, the presidency of Bengal started ruling the other 2 presidencies. The governor of Bengal became the Governor General of all the 3 presidencies. He had the direct control over all these presidencies. Bombay and Madras were not allowed to start a war against anyone without the prior approval of the Governor General. Only in case of extreme emergency they were allowed to react. Next we are going to study about the Pitt's India Act 1784. There were many inconsistencies in the Regulating Act 1773. Hence, to rectify those inconsistencies and outline the powers of Britishers, Pitt's India Act was established. A new controlling board consisting of 6 commissioners was established. Board of Controllers replaced the Board of Directors. They had a direct control over land taxes and military system. Now moving on to the next act, that was the Charter Acts. There were many Charter Acts passed by the Britishers. The main aim of these Charter Acts were to renew the license of East India Company. The first Charter Act was passed in 1813. This act gave license to East India Company to stay in India for another 20 years. A new era of licensing and authorization started. The Board of Directors had power to appoint Governor General and Commander-in-Chief. The churches got official legal rights to enter in India. Next comes the Charter Act 1833. The main aim of this act was to improve the situation of India. It also gave license to East India Company to stay in India for another 20 years. The Governor of Bengal became the Governor General of India. He had exclusive right over all the trade affairs in country. He had the final right to decide about the war and peace situation with other princely states. The act barriers all the discrimination on the basis of religion, caste, birth, and skin color. It facilitated all the British companies to trade in India. Next, we are going to talk about British Government Act 1858 to 1947. Sepoy Mutiny took place due to misadministration of East India Company and Anti-Indian Act 1857. As a result, the administration power of India went into the control of British Queen of East India Company. Indian Government Act 1858. The license of East India Company was cancelled and the administration power was handed over to the Queen of East India Company. The post of Governor General was changed to Viceroy of India. Lord Canning was the first Viceroy of India. A new post called Secretary of State for India, which was a part of British Council, was responsible for administration power in India. Cabinet of India was created to assist the Secretary in administration. The cabinet had 15 members. Indian Council Act of 1861. This is an important act passed as it allows the Indians to participate in lawmaking. In order to understand the aspirations of Indians, representations were given to Indians. This is called the Policies of Assertion. Indian Council Act 1892. This act allowed Indians in the participation of legislative bodies. Let us see a few of the main features of this act. This act led to increase in the members in various district and central legislative bodies. The Legislative Council authority was increased further by allowing discussion on budget-related issues. Provision was made on questioning the government on public-related issue by serving a notice in 6-day advance. Indian Council Act 1909. This act was also called as Minto-Marley Reformation Act. This act was used to divide and rule in India. Let us see the main features of this act. The total number of Central Legislative Council members were increased to 60 from 16. The number of Regional Council members was also increased. The representation of Regional Council members was allowed through election for the first time. In order to provide separate representations for Muslim, a separate electorate college was established. India Council Act 1919. Since India took active participation in First World War, Lord Mountbatten, the Secretary of State for India, argued for giving more importance to India in the matter of administration. Hence, many steps were taken up to improve and provide representations to India in administration. Let's move on to the next act, that is Indian Government Act 1935. This act formed as the basis for formation of our Indian Constitution. Let us see the basic features of this act. A federal system of Indian principalities, British governed regions and domain states were formed. Reserve Bank of India was established. DRC was established at centre. DRC was removed from regional level and autonomy was granted. Federal courts were established. Students, though these acts serve their purpose for British interest, but still they include the aspirations of Indians for self-governance. So here ends our chapter. Hope it was interesting. For next chapter, keep watching Succeed e-learning app.